It's time for Boba Book Break. What up, reader fam? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm hitting you with some Boba and books. Name a more iconic duo. Oh wait. It's another episode of Boba Book Break, where we take a break from reading, grab some boba, and talk about bookish things. And today's episode is sponsored by Simon & Schuster and HarperCollins. First up, we have the boba of the day. Today's boba of the day is the strawberry latte boba. I know it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, but that's not what matters here. What matters is the flavor. That strawberry really be slamming into my taste buds like hello. It is a bit more sugary than I tend to like, I will admit, but I decided to get this to spice up my typical boba order, break out of my basic shell. It's nice and fruity, it's got real strawberries in it, so that's quite nice. And it's hitting the spot, but it's also gonna make me bounce off the walls, that's for sure. Next up, we've got my Boba enamel pin of the day. Today we've just got a classic looking boba pin. This is actually what my boba order tends to look like, basic. A green milk tea. Though I will say that there are only like 10 boba black pearls on here, and like that's not enough for me. 10 does not hit the spot. I need about double that size in my drink. Next, we have our topic of the day. Today's topic is inspired by my recent read of The June Boys by Court Stevens, which is actually the Booksplosion book of the month. More info on that down below in the description. Come join us. It's always a good time talking about books. I did a whole vlog recently where I read this book, so if you want to hear more of my thoughts on it, I will leave a link to that down below in the description. Wow, lots of self-promo happening here. I'm sorry. Am I sorry? No, I'm not. This book is about this serial kidnapper called the Gemini Thief, and every June he takes 3 boys captive and keeps them from June 1st all the way to June 31st the next year. And then he just sets them free. Breaking free, soaring, flying, hey. Not that kind of breaking free. Normally when he does this, the boys are left unharmed, but that all changes when one of them ends up dead. Gulp. We follow our main character Thea, whose cousin has been kidnapped, and she's decided that she's gonna do everything in her power to try and figure out where he is, and also get to the bottom of who's behind all these kidnappings. You know what's gonna go down when our main character is on the hunt for a kidnapper. I'm just saying. It's a sure sign that there's gonna be some trials and tribulations along the way. It's a really interesting story because while you're following the main character Thea, you're also getting these letters from her cousin, and you're kind of seeing his side of the story and what's happening with him. It's a story that has you buzzing in the brain the whole way through because you're trying to put 2 and 2 together alongside the main character and figure out who's behind everything. And if you're anything like me, you're also kind of competing against the main character and trying to figure out who's behind it before they figure it out. You want to beat them to the punch, aka beat them to the plot twist before it twists you up. It's a fun time. Well, I mean, it's not fun content necessarily because obviously it's sad. More so fun in trying to figure out who's the kidnapper. Not fun in how dark and creepy it is a majority of the time. As I was reading this, it made me realize that I need to explore more books in this genre. Kind of this mystery, thriller-ish, low-key horror genre. Never heard of mystery, thriller-ish, low-key horror before? It's just the new way to say mystery thriller. Can't say that it's an upgrade, but it's something. I haven't read much in this genre. I've read a few here and there, specifically in the YA lane. For example, the One of Us is Lying series, Who Can Keep a Secret, Little Monsters, and the only adult ones that are coming to mind right now are Night Film and the book Cross Her Heart. This kind of just got me thinking about some other genres that I really would like to kind of get deeper into this year, so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Some genres that I want to get deeper into this year or just even try out this year. I feel like I'm the kind of person who's always game to try something new, but I always kind of forget to try something new because I just get comfortable with what I already know and love. For example, boba. I always go for my green milk tea, but this series is helping me try new flavors. Thanks, Boba Book Break. You're the best. Speaking of boba, sip break time. So obviously this first genre that I would like to kind of get a little bit more deeper into is this kind of mystery, thriller, horror lane. I mean, I don't know if those are supposed to be all grouped together. Like I know that there are some books where it's just mystery, just thriller, just horror. But then I know that there are a lot of books that are just kind of categorized together, which makes sense. Like those elements kind of all go together. It's funny because I made it a goal for myself this year to read more Stephen King, who is like the king of that genre, the king of that lane. And I've yet to read a book by him. So that really sucks. And he's like the master of that genre. Maybe not the master, but if this genre was a sport, he'd for sure be on the pro team. Anywho, I want to read more books in this genre that are similar to books like The June Boys or The Night Film that kind of bring in an interesting element to the story and make it more of a visual reading experience. I loved the letter aspect of The June Boys, and I feel like it really helped kind of shape out the story. And Night Film just had me drooling all over the graphics. Don't worry, no drool got on the book. I made sure of it. So if you have any recommendations for me that are books like that are in that genre, let me know down below in the comments. Smack me with your recommendations. Well, Don't smack me, but you know what I mean. One that is on my list is the book Sadie. I know that one is told, I believe, in podcast transcript, which is super neato speedo, and I want to try that out and see if I like it or not. The next genre is one that I feel like is almost kind of a subgenre from that genre, but it's dark academia. This is a story that takes place on a school campus, something like a college campus, and something really dark is happening on the campus, so it can be like a murder or a cult or some underground sketchy business, anything along those lines really. There's just something about this subgenre that's really appealing to me. I have a few notable ones on my TBR. I have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. So I've got dark academia stock, I just gotta read them. I think for some reason I'm just like really drawn to stories taking place on a campus and something really dark happening, and seeing how the students or the teachers or whoever's involved kind of handle the situation or deal with it. And a lot of times I feel like we follow characters who are guilty and who are trying to kind of cover up their tracks. Something about that just really intrigues me. Wait, would Harry Potter be considered dark academia? Because there are some dark happenings that go down on the Hogwarts grounds. I feel like there's an argument there with lots of receipts. The last genre that has had me intrigued lately is adult fantasy. I was thinking about this the other day, how I haven't really read much, if any, adult fantasy. I've read The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, but I feel like this is the one that people always kind of classify as like young adult meets adult fantasy, like it's kind of a crossover a little bit. And I do have quite a few adult fantasy on my physical TBR. For example, I've got The Poppy War, The Name of the Wind, which I did start and got to page 80 and then set it down and never picked it up again. Oops, story of my life. And The Bear and the Nightingale, which I feel like is kind of just like subtle fantasy, not like full on fantasy, but still. And that's just to name a few on my physical TBR, so I've got some to consume, I just need to consume them. I can't really say it's a genre that I'm intimidated by necessarily, but I will say that I feel like it'll just be a lot. I feel like going into adult fantasy will just be like opening a door into a whole new world. I don't know really where I should start, but I just need to start. You know what I'm saying? What are some genres that you guys are interested in trying out this year? Let me know down below in the comments. Next up, we've got books trending. This is the segment on my channel where I talk about recent bookish things that have been trending on the internet. Both of the ones that I picked out today are kind of similar to each other, and they both have to do with the same thing, and that is book organization, aka my worst nightmare. I hate reorganizing my shelves, and I have to do it often because my self-control is non-existent, and I buy books without even thinking anything of it. It's beyond a problem at this point. Anyway, we're not here to analyze and assess my book buying issues today. The first one is by an author who tweeted out their floating bookshelf setup, which when I saw this picture, I was deceased, and then brought back to life and became obsessed. Look at how glorious this looks. These pictures should be hung in the Louvre, albeit I'd prefer a literal wall full of books, a wall made out of books, maybe not made out of, but like a wall full of books, all the books, glorious. But this is still dope and a super fresh idea for book display. I've seen floating bookshelves before, but never on this level. So kudos to them for being like, I'm not like other readers. This tweet went viral on Twitter, and unfortunately it brought the trolls out to play. Nobody invited you, trolls. Go back to your home with your book snobbery. They started throwing hate tweets at the poster and saying things like, you need to read a real book, and saying things like, I only see books for children, where are all the adult books? Which honestly, wham wham boo boo, go away. I had to look at the date to make sure we were still in 2020, because what even? When will people learn that we need to let people enjoy what they enjoy? It's not that hard of a concept to understand. No, 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 no. It's fine if you don't like a book or you don't even like YA. That's not the problem. The problem is going out of your way to make somebody feel bad for liking certain things. That's when you hit dick territory. Huh, this calls for a sit break. The next book trending thing I found is kind of funny, but it's also not really funny. No, not funny at all. Basically, this library in the UK had a cleaner come to help clean their books as a way to prevent the spread of the virus, and in the process, they reorganized the shelves. Which when you first hear that, you're like, oh, that's nice. But then when you see what they did, you're like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh no they didn't. This cleaner reorganized them in size order. Which sure, again, sounds fine, but when has a library ever organized by size? Never! Now, the intention here was good, I get that. I'm sure that in the moment they just weren't thinking about the organization method, but this is going to be a nightmare for the librarians at the library. And I believe we should start sending them well wishes and prayers, because this process is going to take them quite a while to get it back to how it's supposed to be. I'm sending you all my love, librarians. You're the real book warriors. I'm a fraud. Lastly today, I'm going to be sharing with you my current and upcoming reads. I've been reading quite a bit faster than I normally do lately, and I am not mad about that one bit, not at all. It has made me super duper happy to be back on track with reading. I've got 2 two books that I'm going to be getting to this week. The first one that I want to mention is We Are the Wildcats by Siobhan Vivian, which is the Booksplosion book of the month for the month of May. You should pick it up and join us. I'm getting quite a head start on this for our book club, but I've just been so curious about it and I want to read it, so I'm gonna do just that. I am actually going to be filming a 24-hour readathon involving this book because this book takes place over a 24-hour period, and I'm like, I can't not read it over a 24-hour time span. It's just meant to be. It's perfect for a 24-hour readathon. It just makes sense to do it that way, even though I will probably regret it in the moment. This book actually fits that mystery, thriller-ish, low-key horror vibe that I was talking about earlier that I want to read more of. It follows this varsity hockey field team called the Wildcats. This ain't no High School Musical Wildcats though. They're not about to use their hockey sticks as mics and break out into a full-on sing-along. Nope. Wow, 2 High School Musical references in one video. What is happening to me? Am I in middle school again? They're about to have this like really big trial game against one of their biggest rivals, the team that beat them at state the year before. You'd think they'd be like, ooh, let's get some rest. Let's make sure we've got our energy for the game. But they're like, no, this is the perfect time for a sleepover. Not only a sleepover, but our initiation ceremony. So that's what ends up happening. They have their initiation ceremony and things end up going south. At least I think they do. The description makes it feels like they just have a wild adventure, but I think they end up getting caught in some messiness involving the pranks that they pull and the stunts that they pull in the night. It's a night of proving themselves to each other and defining what it means to be a wildcat. I'm really curious to find out what kind of things they find themselves involved in the night. It feels like it's gonna get pretty dark and I'm here for that vibe. This book also actually breaks it down by the hour, so like this chapter is at 9:02 and this chapter is at 1:09 a.m. So I think I'm gonna try to read each chapter at each timestamp that's mentioned on each chapter. I'm a little nervous about that though because it starts at like 12 p.m. and ends at 11:45 the next day, so... Sleep? What is that? We don't know her. I'm also going to be reading some other things alongside this, but that's where I need your help. I have 3 different stacks here and I'm just gonna show you the page facing out so you don't know what books they are. And I need you to vote for which stack I should go for in the comments down below. Should I go for A? Should I go for B? Or should I go for C? The stack that is chosen I will read alongside this book. Before I talk about the next book, I think it's time for another sip break. Last sip break of the episode. Finally this week, I'm going to be finishing this book, and that is The Miracles of the Namiya General Store. This story takes place in Japan, and it's about these delinquents who find themselves in this abandoned general store, and they start receiving these letters asking for advice. They don't really think much of it, but they send a reply, and they get a response like seconds after they send a reply, and it turns out the letters are coming from the past. So we follow them as they give advice to people in the past, and see how the advice that they're giving alters the lives of the people who are writing the letter. I'm actually reading this as a part of a Goodreads book club that I joined recently. One of you actually recommended it to me in the comments of one of my videos, so I joined it. The book club focuses on Japanese translated works, so each month we read a new book translated from Japanese to English. I felt like I needed something to help me reach my goal of reading more translated works, and I thought this would be a good way to go about it. I'm really enjoying this one so far, even though our main characters are pretty immature and the advice that they're giving isn't always the best, but it's fascinating watching everything unfold and seeing what the writers of the letters are facing and how the advice alters what they're going through. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Boba Book Break. I want to hear from you guys down below in the comments. What are you planning to read this week? What is on your radar? Let me know down below in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye.